Okay, in part one, we showed how you have to prove that lines are parallel. Now, in order to prove that lines are parallel, you have to determine what the relationship between the two angles is, but you also have to use the word converse. Whenever proving lines parallel, you always use the word converse. Okay, now it says determine the value of y such that E is parallel to F. So let's assume that E is parallel to F, and that means that this angle is 90 degrees, then that means that the angle next to it is also going to be 90 degrees. Well, any of those angles could be 90 degrees. So here's what we know. We know that F 4y plus 10 plus this angle right here have to be supplementary. So that means that 4y plus 10 plus 90 equals 180 degrees. So that gives us 4y plus 100 equals 180. 4y equals 80. So y equals 20. That's in order for it to be parallel, that if this angle is 90 degrees, then that angle also has to be 90 degrees. All right. Now, I threw a couple more proofs in there just to kind of let you look over them. It says write a paragraph proof. I never write I always do formal proofs and 2-column proofs. Okay. 2 and angle 7 are supplementary. So here's what we know. And I'm going to go through the steps with you, just kind of go quickly. The measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 7 equals 180. That is by definition of supplementary. Now we know that angle 2 is supplementary to angle angle 3 by the definition of a linear pair. So that means if two angles are supplementary to the same angle, then that means that they are congruent to each other, and that is by the congruent supplements theorem. So then angle 3 and angle 7 are, since they are congruent, lines M and L are parallel by the converse of corresponding angles. You can kind of look over that on your own, or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me or talk to me in class or Google me, however it is. Okay, same thing with this one. Let's see, we have L is parallel to N. We know that these two are parallel. And we know that angle 12 and angle 8 are congruent. So we know that these two angles are congruent. Well, we're also given that, or we're trying to prove that J is parallel to K. So here's what we know. Because these two lines are parallel, angle 4 and angle 8 are corresponding angles, and they are congruent. Well, since 8 and 12 are congruent, and 4 and 8 are congruent, then that means by transitive or substitution, that means that 12 has to be congruent to 4, and I'll highlight those two. And since those two are congruent, then by the converse of, once again, by the converse of corresponding angles, L and K are parallel to one another. Now notice, I'm proving lines parallel, so it's the converse. All right, last one. Same diagram, different information. This time, I'm given that J and K are parallel, and I'm given that 8 and 9 are supplementary. So 8 and 9 are supplementary to one another. All right. Now here's one thing I do know. I know that since these two are parallel, I know that 4 and 9 are going to be same side interior. So therefore, those two are going to be supplementary to one another. And actually, that is not by the converse of same side interior. That is just simply by the same side interior angles. All right, then we know that the measure of angle 4 equals the measure of angle 8 because of congruent supplements. So if 8 and 9 are supplementary, 4 and 9 are supplementary, so that means that 4 and 8 have to be equal. Well, if they're equal in measure, then that means they have to be congruent by the definition of congruent. And then, of course, you prove by the converse of corresponding angles that the lines are parallel. All right, a little bit of assistance for you. All right. So for next time, or for this Friday, go ahead and work on homework quiz 3-3. Your test will be the week we come back from fall break. We'll review, and then we will test over the material. So